Welcome to another episode of Acoustic Chef. This is D. Will.
This is your girl, Ebony.
It's your boy, Capel.
And this is Regina. How's it going, y'all?
It's going good. How was your week?
It's been a long week. A lot going on and a long week.
Yeah, it's been a long week. It feel like every week gonna be long. My wife was telling me, she was saying that 2020 is going by. People were saying it was going by like slow, like fast. She said for her it was going by, fast. But she been working every day, like nothing changed in her schedule because she been going to work every day. It's going by slow as hell for me, because I guess because I've been at home from March to August and we just started working, and then these weeks at work, they haven't been like the regular school day weeks, so they've been kind of tough. But yeah, it's been a go. But yeah. The weekend been great.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I have no concept of time. It's like slow and fast at the same time. Like I was just thinking the other day, I never stopped working, but I have been able to work from home. But then like when I think about how long I've been home, it's almost, what has it been, like almost 7, 8, 9 months? Like you could have like had a whole baby and we're, a new family. It's so many things. Baby. Yeah. So I'm just like, it's slow. But then when I think about everything that's happened, like in the beginning of the year, like we were mourning Kobe's death. It's like, did it just happen? Did it happen? Was it a long time ago? I really have no concept of when anything happened.
I feel that. I'm kind of cool. I was kind of built for the zombie apocalypse because I don't mind being at home, you know what I'm saying? And like doing like outside stuff and stuff like that versus having to go to the bowling alley or the movie theater and stuff like that. Although I like those things, you know what I'm saying? I like chilling too, you know what I'm saying? I like chilling a lot.
Yeah.
So I ain't really tripping or whatever. But I had heard this old adage that was like, as far as time goes, like the way you slow time down, and because we always say, like a lot of times we be like, man, it's already like July, you know what I'm saying? Like after the turn of the year, you feel like time, like you don't know where time went. It's because we look forward to the future. We look forward to 5 months from now. We look forward to 2 years from now because we got a trip planned, or you got a raise coming up, or you have any of these type of things or whatever. So when you look forward to the future, like that time just blows by or whatnot. So I've kind of mastered the art of like living in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yes, Confucius. Thank you for your words of wisdom, young
That's
brother.
Interesting.
Now, I feel you, and I actually agree with that. Me personally, as far as COVID and the convention of it being, it's not convention of it, but like it affected me. It's really not affecting me personally, as far as like being able to go places and stuff. So on that aspect that you just said, D, that's the same for me because I'm an introvert. I don't like being around crowds of people. Yeah. I see you, Regina. I see that face. What? I come out of my shell. I put on the front at work because my job requires me to. I can't be an introvert at my job, but naturally I'm an introvert. Like I'm not a shy person. See that look you're giving me. What it probably is like making me think is like most people think introverts are people that are quiet because they're shy, because they're like they don't want to talk. And that's not necessarily true. You have introverts that are shy and they don't want to talk. They don't feel comfortable talking. I have no problem talking. I'm comfortable not talking. I would rather not talk. I would rather just sit back and chill in my own space. I would rather not be around big crowds of people. I would rather not be around people who talk a lot because that pulls energy from me. You know what I'm saying? So
yet you're doing a whole podcast, but okay. Go off.
But like nobody is all introvert, nobody's all extrovert. Everybody has a little bit of some
I don't know,
that,
some people.
Some people, you have extremes. Some people are extreme on one side or the other, but most people have a combination of both. Yeah. I'm more of an introvert than extrovert, but I can be an extrovert at times, especially when it's things that I'm enjoying or people that I like being around. But with that being said, that COVID has affected me that way because I stay in the house a lot. I don't go out all the time. The person I go out with is the person I stay with. So, from that aspect, I haven't really been affected by COVID. It's just been tough because of the unknown, stuff like that. But in the grand scheme of things, like I'm coping pretty well with it.
Gina,
Well, I
We had
did.
oh,
Go ahead. Go
I was
ahead.
about to, I was about to say. So we had the biggest club in the world, the most popular club in the world in Alexandria, Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? R.I.P. to Pratt the Cat. We forgot to holler at Pratt, man. But R.I.P. to Pratt. It had a club called Boomerang 2000, and it was changed to
Hey, how come
Strawberries.
we always got to tell stories? I see where this shit
Before
going right now.
that, before that, what was the name? What was it? It was Fool's Gold or
Fool's
whatever.
gold. Yeah.
And so this was an old bowling alley that had got turned. They gutted it out and had put a dance floor in there. The whole club was a dance floor. You know what I'm saying? And it was a popping club. This boy Capel, I don't know why, what happened. I don't know what I did, but this boy was we had the worst argument that we ever had in our life because he ain't want to go to the club or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Now, if you
So
go tell it right.
instead of just saying that he ain't want to go to the club or whatever, you know what I'm saying? This dude here just like he had
Nah,
had the
nah.
attitude the whole
If you
night.
gonna
You know what I'm
tell it
saying?
right. Nah, I'm gonna stop you right there because if you gonna tell it right. I didn't want to go to the club. I did tell him that. He kept asking me to go. It was like,
That's
come
true.
on, pal,
That's
come
true.
on,
That's
pal.
true.
I want
That's
you to go to
true.
the club, and I was like, I ain't want to go. So I went on and went, and the whole time I sat in one spot. Like him, Jonas, everybody, C Baby, all of them that went with us. They in the club having a good time, dancing. I'm just sitting in one spot. And then it was a club where you could smoke in. They were smoking weed in there. They ain't never checked for that stuff. Then I got irritated because now I'm sitting around people that smoke and I don't smoke. And so when it's time to go, I'm ready to go. So I go get in the car. They want to stay another 30, 45 minutes outside, parking lot, pimping, talking to people. And I'm like ready to go. I'm
But
in
you
the
wasn't
car.
mad at
I'm
them though.
hot. Because you the one that pushed me to go, and I was like, at least you could just let's go, let's just get in the car, let's go. But I think when we got in the car, it was something you said that set me off. I think you said something to the effect of
I
like me
said
acting the way I was
Sega.
acting. Nah, it was him saying something. So here I am, went to the club, did that, sat in the car, chilling, minding my business, and he had a problem with me doing that, not being with them, and he said something about it. That's when I went off.
So that was that. I'm just saying that to say, Gina, he does have a slight bit of introvertedness that you probably haven't seen before. Now, what you was about to say, Gina?
You probably should have.
I
You went all the way around the world to get to that. Go
say,
ahead.
but I agree. I agree that we all have a little bit of both, or we may all have a little bit of both, because I'm not an extrovert by any stretch of the imagination. Like if nobody talks to me, I won't talk to them either. I don't just go up to people and start a conversation unless I'm invited into the conversation. I'll sit and listen. I don't go out a lot unless, again, I'm invited or pressured, as you did, Capel, that one time when y'all were hanging out at wherever y'all were, the bowling alley, gutted
Hold
to
up,
the club.
hold up. Strawberries, Boomerang
Strawberry,
2000.
whatever it was.
R.I.P. to Pratt the Cat.
But yeah, if people pressure me, then I'll go. But then I'm irritated that I didn't say no. So probably you should have just said, man, I told you no. Hell no, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I don't feel like it. And so that's what I have to say sometimes. Then I feel bad and like, dang, they not going to never invite me no more. So I better go ahead and go. But I'm like, even though I do like acting and stuff and I'm out here doing my thing and I'm a teacher, which is like a stage every day. People don't realize that when you're a teacher, you're on stage, you're on the whole time you're in class. Every single day. You ain't got to sell no tickets. It's an audience. They looking at you and you better bring it. Or
Gotta deliver.
yeah, are you gonna get booed? Not in the sense of boo, but they gonna go tell all their friends, we hate that teacher. She's the worst, right? So you gotta be on every day anyway. But then after they leave at the end of the day, I close my door and turn my light off so people don't come bother me. And then I try to get some work done. So I'm not gonna go out and like socialize and all of that kind of stuff. But I get it. And COVID hasn't affected me that much. I do like to go out and I do like to hang out with friends, only my little small circle, but I'm not gonna, I don't go out and seek new friendships and just be all over the place like some people that I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that little bit of introversion. But
That's
yeah.
what's up, man. How speaking of which, how has COVID affected y'all's relationships? Like not just your husband and wife and stuff like that, but those relationships as well, but just relationships in general, because you like stuck in the house for the most part, like for the bulk of the day, you know, with your family and stuff, and y'all got to see and smell each other all day.
Well, Cabell, you want to go?
Oh yeah, cause mine is real quick. Like, so you know, it's just me and my wife. We don't have no kids, and my you know, my family is still in Alexandria. So it hasn't really affected us any differently because you know, our schedules really didn't change much, and even though I was at home, she was still going to work. But it it kind of has, you know, like it just has affected us in a positive way because we look to do more things together at home since we can't go out because we don't I say can't, we prefer not to go out just yet. Like we don't feel comfortable going in a restaurant and sitting down and having, you know, dinner or lunch or whatever. So we have ordered takeout before, but we've, you know, done like a, you know, we sit and watch movies and sometimes like a little movie day or movie night, but we don't like get all date dressed up. We just sit in the bed and watch movies, you know, but we take the time out to do it because I could always be upstairs watching TV in my game room, which is a place of comfort for me. And she could always be downstairs in her office or in the bed, you know, so we like, you know, even though it's not you be dressing up, some people feel like, you know, some people want to dress up and act like they're going on a date. We prefer to be comfortable and we get the same satisfaction. But as far as my family outside, even though I don't go home a lot, I go home maybe 2 times a year. So currently I'm on pace for 2 times because I went in March. My mom, because I can't come, she decided that she wanted to have these weekly Zoom meetings with us and my sister and my brother who's in Georgia. So that has actually like connected us more because we meet every Sunday at 3 o'clock to do a short 20-30 minute Zoom call. And that's all because of COVID. Like, and so that was good. That's a good thing that came from it.
I got a question, man. Before y'all go, doing that whole little soliloquy that you just gave or whatever, you was like looking up to the left, so it's like you was leaving your prefrontal cortex and accessing your cerebellum. So I'm just trying.
Lord,
are you telling the truth?
Oh no,
because I'm just reading your body. I'm just reading your body language. That's all.
You do realize that everything you said about the brain and what accessed was not accessed, but it sound good. It sound good for the listeners out there. They're like, "Oh, that boy intelligent," but like, nah, wrong parts of the brain. But nah, that's just that's a common thing when people are thinking. They have like a little a sign that tell that they do. You know, I look up when I'm thinking. I don't look directly at people, and y'all are people to me because I'm looking at a screen.
Yeah, that's what's up. I feel you.
I can't even be serious. I can't even be serious anymore. Right? But I'm going to say this. COVID has definitely affected me and my family in a negative and a positive way. We did have 2 family members who passed. My husband's mother and his brother passed away. I've said that on the show before, but it actually brought us together as a family. It brought us closer because there was some like age-old rivalries or like folks not getting along. My sister-in-law, my husband's oldest sister and I like did not get along. I didn't go to her house. She didn't come over here. Like we had an understanding. You know, we didn't even really talk during family gatherings at a mutual, like, you know, like on neutral ground. We would go and we still wouldn't, it would be like, hey, and that was it, you know. And so now that all of these things have occurred in our family where we had to pull together as a family to, you know, take care of funeral arrangements and burial plots and all of these other sorts of things. So it was a time where we both said, you know, we got to put whatever this is, we need to put it aside so that we can bring our family together. So that happened to, you know, I'm not going to say COVID is a good thing because it's horrible and it's terrible and it's taking lives and it's making things hard for people and jobs are being lost and all of these other terrible things. But as far as families, what I've heard the most is that families are being pulled closer together. And we had those weekly Zoom meetings. For a minute, it was like every day we would meet on Zoom at 8 o'clock. The whole family would meet. And then we switched it to like twice a week, and then it just became on Sundays we meet and we talk and we kind of check in with each other just to make sure everybody's okay. Y'all need anything? What's going on? And then that's kind of fizzled out, and I'm hoping that we can bring that back. But it kind of brought us together as a family, and it killed some of the issues that we had. We just like, you know what? We got to get over it because, maybe one day one of us won't be here and somebody's got to pick up the slack. So we've all done our part picking up the slack as far as COVID is concerned. And our relationships have all just gotten better. We've had some struggles, definitely, because my niece and nephew live with us now. And so we've had some times where I've had to say, okay, I know everybody's still grieving, but this thing that's happening has to be addressed. So sit down, shut up, listen to what I have to say. And then when I say you can talk, then you can talk. And then afterwards, after the tears and stuff, then we hug and they go about their way. And then we, start over again. But yeah, it's for the most part, as far as relationships, it's brought so many families together. And like for that, I'm grateful. But all the heartache from the deaths and that sort of thing, like terrible. I wish there was another way that those things could have occurred. But unfortunately, if my mother-in-law and brother-in-law hadn't gotten sick, we would probably be worse off or in the same place we were before, with everybody just kind of staying in their own corner and like, not interacting, not being close as a family. And I knew that part was hurting my husband because he would say, oh, I'm going over my sister's house, you coming? And I look at him like, damn well I ain't going over her house. But now it's like, okay, we finna go. We're all going together. So it brought us closer together as a family.
Man, the crazy thing is, I'll say at least 90% of beefs between people be like misunderstandings, and it's never like a real issue, like somebody killed somebody or raped somebody or molested some kids or something like that. Is always something like a battle of the egos. Like I say at least 85-90% of the time. You know what I'm saying? It's never like something serious. Man, how many out of all of the beefs that you done had in your life, how many times has it really been something serious?
Well, for me, because I don't just beef, so, and I give people chances. Like people, literally, you'll say, you should have been cut that person off. But when I'm beefing with somebody, no, they did something close to what you just said.
But I'm saying on the other end, no, like as well, you know what I'm saying?
I think what you're saying,
it's a lot of petty stuff.
What you're saying, Damien, I think it's more, I ain't gonna say is more, I'm not gonna say it's like misunderstandings, but I do believe that it's more
maybe misunderstandings.
I was gonna say Virginia just popped out, but I was gonna say maybe not misunderstandings, but I think it's gonna say petty. It's more people. It's not worth it. It's not worth the action.
Okay, that's a better
Yeah, I think it's a lot of. It is a lot of petty. Hey,
sorry, my connection just dropped. I don't know what happened. Okay,
that's all good.
But there's a lot of petty stuff within family and personalities and things and egos and pride. Yeah, I get that too. But at a certain age, I think a lot of things are like Kapil said, is it worth it? Am I going to continue to be disrespected? I mean, you can't change anybody. So, but on the fact of how COVID has affected my family, interesting statistic, actually divorce rates are up 35%, since COVID. So, and I'm an engineer by day and a real estate agent during the day and at night. And one thing in the real estate world that we're focusing on is divorced couples, because it's a seller's market. People are selling their homes like crazy because of divorce. And everyone that I'm representing is because, we're separating, we're downsizing. We just can't do it anymore. And COVID showed us that. So it's a lot more prominent than you think right now. But for me personally, probably, and I've said this before, the last 10 years, I really couldn't even catch my breath. I've been so busy between the children, trying to, balance my life and things and whatever I thought was so important. And to not have to make an excuse to why I can't show up or come or why I can't do it has been such a burden off of my shoulders.
Yeah.
Things are starting to ramp up and I don't know. But there's a lot of things now I'm going to say no to because I had time to evaluate and think about what's important and what's not important and what's going to actually be beneficial. As far as my husband and I, we never really spent that much time together. Like I've been working from home since the start of COVID, and so has he. And I don't know how to say this in a way that sounds like a good wife, but I've never wanted that type of thing. You know, people's like, oh, I wish we could work together and stay at home. I've never desired that, you know, never. It's never been like, oh, even, you know, because I'm not that, just not that type of person. But I would say that we definitely have built or rebuilt some connections or, you know, learn more about each other. Now, it has been some, you know, I'm a debater. I feel like he's very stubborn. So we've had some arguments, but we don't. You okay? Get you sing you something.
Yeah, I got something.
But anyway, he I think it's been well for us, even with the children. The children are stir crazy, but I've been very annoying with trying to be creative. We've had paint parties in the beginning where I had to be the teacher. Well, my kids are older, so they kind of teach themselves. And I'm like, that's your job. I do my job. So listen to what your teacher told you to do. But I even had picture day where they had to dress up, and then we took pictures. We did painting parties. Yeah. If anybody follows me on Instagram, they know I've had my family dressed up in their prom dresses and everything for a dinner. Like, I'm really annoying the hell out of them, and I'm loving it because we don't get to do like silly things and crazy things, you know, in the normal. So I'm using this time to be that mom, you know. So I mean, I'm enjoying it.
That's what's up. We pretty much our bond is pretty strong or whatever. Like the things that we hate about each other, we've been hating them. And nothing has changed because we take a lot of family road trips. So, and we don't fly, you know what I'm saying? And I do that on purpose so we can spend that time together playing silly road games and going to sleep, waking up, you know, staying at hotels, all of that type of stuff. So we can, you know, grow those bonds and stuff. I mean, they still talk about stuff that happened like several years ago or whatever, you know what I mean? So we still, so nothing has really too much changed in my household. The wife working from home, she's able to do more. She's a arts and crafty type person, so she's able to do more of that. But as far as like giving each other space, we've never had an issue with that or whatever. So it's pretty much the same in my household.
That's cool.
I don't like the fact I do, even though I say I was built for this, I still do like going places. I love going out to eat, and the fact that I can't do that, you know what I'm saying, as much as, you know, we used to, that kind of sucks. Or whatever, and just going to different places, you know, like Dave and Buster's and all of that type of stuff, you know.
I miss that. We've had cook-offs now. Even my kids now, they're cooking and trying to come up with new recipes that they found on TikTok and all of that. So it's been fun, but I definitely miss happy hours and brunches. And I didn't really like going out a lot, but the eating part of it. But I've been working out. I've been doing things that I wouldn't have had found time to do or I made excuses to do. So
yeah, I know, right? Because I've been riding that bike like crazy.
that bike riding at 10 miles that turns to 40 miles.
Straight up. I was about to say, you up to about 40 or 45 miles a trip, huh?
Man, no, I had got busy probably a couple of weeks ago. So I had to probably like a couple of weeks I had to chill out or whatever. So I'm back on it now though.
That's good.
Yeah. My boy and them, they up to what? I think he said he did like 50 miles. I'm like, golly.
In one
like,
day?
And in one ride.
Damn.
25 there, 25 back. I'm like,
that's a lot.
I'll see y'all in December.
More power
man.
to you. More power to you.
Yeah, I see them in December sometime.
I think COVID has like really, you know, like made a lot of people and couples just really realize where they are. And you know, and when I say people, I mean like, what kind of person are you? Because like for me, I'm the type of person that always tries to take advantage of every situation. Whether I'm in a bad situation, I try to find the good. If I'm in a good situation, I try to find even the best part of that situation to try to grow from. And before I say this, I will say by no means am I saying that COVID was a good thing. It's not. And if I could take it away, if I could make a decision to take COVID away and everything that happened, that good that came out of it for other people could not happen, then it would happen because people's lives are more important. But what I will say is a lot of people was in a position to try to better themselves. And a lot of people was in a position and they didn't better themselves. And I feel like the people who are talking, the people who are giving good conversations or saying things about this time that that are positive are people who looked at I need to make my life better because I can control certain things. So I need to do this. Even with relationships, like the people who are getting divorced, that was a time for those people to try and work it out. And maybe they did. I'm not saying they didn't, but it exposed probably problems that were there for a long time. And they realized, we should have done this a long time ago. And this was just a time that we was able to figure it out, and they made that decision. They say God works in mysterious ways, and I've heard several people say that, everything happens for a reason. And when people say everything happens for a reason, I don't believe that they mean every little minute detail. But when things happen that's out of your control,
all or nothing.
Yeah, it's like when things happen that's out of your control and they cause major effects or whatever. I believe a lot of people believe that's God speaking to us as a world, And I'm not gonna go as far as say what I believe about that, but I will say this. This year has been one that everybody's going to remember, and I think that it's changed some people for the rest of their lives. Like even for me personally, one of the things I told my wife is I didn't realize how much work was stressing me out. My weight has been fluctuating, going back and forth, and being off from March to April. When I say being off, I mean being at home, because I wasn't off until maybe June. I really was able to sit down and reflect on my health in a different way. It wasn't about I'm gaining weight and then trying to work out and lose weight. It was about what the hell is stressing me out. Yeah. I was so happy from April to July. I had to sit down and ask myself, dang, why am I so happy? I'm getting up feeling good. And it wasn't because I wasn't working. It was because I wasn't at work. Yeah. The things that were stressing me out, really just they was causing me to eat bad, and they was causing me to make bad decisions. They was causing me to come home and not want to do anything at home, just want the day to be over with. So the importance for that for me was it's not the work is not going to end because I got to go back. But now I'm aware of it. So now I'm able to put myself in position to not allow that to happen again. Yeah. And I feel like, a lot of people realized a lot of things about themselves during this year because of everything that happened. So
who's coming home?
Go ahead.
Home taking it out on Candy, bro. Because that's my
sister. Yeah, man. I mean, together, I was coming home. I had the bat. Nah, I wasn't taking nothing out on Candy. I mean, you could say in a way maybe I was, because you come home and you want to be able to have a dialogue with your spouse. You want to be able to talk about how your day was. You want to be able to but when you come home day in and day out and all you do is just want to sit to yourself, that does have a impact on your relationship. So I'm aware of it now. So it's causing me to think differently and do things a little differently. I leave work when it's time to go. I would stay. You could ask Regina. It'll be 6:30, 7 o'clock. I still be sitting in my office working. I can't do that kind of stuff no more.
It's draining.
Same. Yeah, me too. I'd work late. I don't do that anymore, or as much as I used to. By 5, I'm out now. And that might seem like working late to some people when we get out at 4 o'clock, but it's really not. That time goes by fast. But also what I wanted to say was this time, being at home and not being able to go and do and have that life where you're always busy with something, it kind of made me, it also made me reflect on some choices that I've been making, but also it made me think about my own mental health, because, everybody is well, you got all this time, you should do something with it. Why aren't you working on you starting a business or your health goals or this? And I'm we're in a pandemic right now. I'm scared for tomorrow. I don't know what. Every single day I was afraid for my phone to ring. Even sometimes now when my text messages go off and it's late and I'm oh God, what's happening now? For a while, every time our phone rang, it was bad news. And so I think our mental health also took a beating because we did not know. We're in that situation where we're unsure about the future, not just of our own lives, but of our country, education, everything, our jobs. And so everything is so uncertain. So that caused me to say, okay, I need to I need to think about what's most important to me, and then I need to put some things in place so that if something happens to me, it made me think about that too. Like, what if I'm next? What if something happens to me? What about my children? You know, are they going to be okay? And I got to make sure they got some money put away. And so I took some steps to make sure that if something does happen to me, that my family doesn't have to scramble and go, you know, we got to all put in money together to bury her because she didn't have this, or, you know, because I mean, that's a real thing. And it's stressful. It stresses the family out more than it should. So now I'm confident that part is taken care of. I don't have to worry about if something happens to me, they got it. They'll be able to handle it. But, you know, also like, you know, I worry about my children's future because things that were okay for them to do before the pandemic it's not okay now. My son is in band, and like I'm always worried about him staying late at band practice, and you know, how are you playing your instrument and where you're blowing and they're blowing their instruments and y'all are close together, like what is happening at school. So I think mental health, it brought mental health to the forefront because I didn't work on certain things because I mean, I'm worried about being alive in the next 6 months. So I don't blame people who didn't like take extra steps to do things because not everybody is in the same place mentally. And so because I know that, you know, this whole situation causes some things to happen. I mean, unfortunately, some people took their lives during this whole pandemic. Isolation was not a good thing for them. And because of that, you know, I have a good friend whose son took his life and she's dealing with it in time to time. Yeah. And so I think about her and, you know, when I see her, I'm like, you know, sometimes I just call her and are you okay? Like, what's going on today? And she's like, I'm glad you called because I'm really thinking about my son and some things that we saw.
Crazy.
It is that shouldn't have, you know, we should have seen this coming. Right. And so anyways, I just, you know, I feel like because of the pandemic, also some good things happen, but also some terrible things happen as far as mental health is concerned. So I don't blame people if they didn't get their health goals in order or, you know, get their financial or spend more time with family, especially if they're isolated from their family and they live far away. Like Capel said, he hadn't been able to go home. You know, it's just you and your wife. What if you wanted to go home and visit your family? That could be a thing. So mental health therapy is important.
It is. What we looking like on time, Capel?
I didn't pay attention, so
I got like an hour and 7 on my side.
It's 32 minutes in. Audacity shows you the time.
Oh, you know what? I think Capel, maybe when you start the Zoom, it must
it starts automatically.
Okay.
Times us automatically.
I thought it started when you start recording. Okay. Remember when the people, like, I guess during the housing market crash, a lot of people was taking their own lives during that period of time too, or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? It's like anytime we have some type of economic disaster or whatever, you know, it's hard for people to cope with those situations and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a hard time coping. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to agree with that. That a lot of times people have a hard time coping with change. Yeah. Whatever that's not familiar to them when they're put in an uncomfortable situation, especially if they've never been like groomed to have to deal with something different. I mean, a lot of times we talk about, somebody, they're broke now and they kill themselves. But it's like, think about if that's never been your reality, or, you know, I know at one point, I don't know if it's still true, but in the Asian cultures, if they had high suicide rates if, you know, somebody dishonored the family, whatever it was, like you did not succeed professionally or you lost a lot of money and things like that. That was the thing to do. Kill yourself. You know, I've lost a lot of people here in home and close to me to suicide, but it's been, you know, for different reasons. And you never really see the signs until after, you think there's a sign. You think, oh, this person's going to be sad, depressed. There's some people that operated at high capacities and the next day they were gone. So, but I think with things like today, like, you know, Gina touched on, not being able to be around people. Some people, like I do well with isolation, but many people don't. And then you start thinking, your mind starts playing with you. Like, I don't have this, I haven't done that. I really don't have friends because no one's calling me. Or, you know, you start thinking about things and telling yourself this, and then you start thinking you're worthless. So it's like, you know, it's a lot of things, and you really have to be, I guess, careful and very cognizant of how you speak to people and how you check on people. You really never know what that trigger is that day and what they're dealing with. And it can be something so minor, so small, and that can just send them over the edge. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. I suffered when I was a kid, probably like 7, 8 years old or whatever, because I didn't feel like I had family. You know what I mean? Because my mom and stepdad moved we moved from LA to Louisiana, and so I was pretty much by myself. You know what I'm saying? So at that point in time in my life, I didn't want anything else but to be back with my family. And since I couldn't be with them, that's how I felt. I felt like suicide was an option or whatever. You know what I mean? But as I got older, like you was stating about the Asians and stuff like that, that's crazy or whatever, to be an adult and feel that way because of dishonor or something like that. Like,
yeah,
there's no honor in death.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's not.
But you know what? And I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, different cultures, they have high esteem for certain actions, and I mean, you're like, that's what Ebony's saying is true. And when you look at Chinese culture, China is what they have more people in their continent in their country than the U.S. Right? I mean, like, their belief system is widespread. It's not a small belief system. So I think when you have a belief system that's that powerful, it becomes real and it becomes important. So. Like, even if people make jokes about it on movies and stuff, you see it on TV, you talk about Asian, like Chinese people, Asian people, even Japanese people, kamikazes, dying for glory and honor and stuff like that. I really think that's a very important part of their culture. And while look at that as like, hell no, nah, but that's a real thing for them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's cool. That's a thing for you, but that's crazy as hell, because it's a lot of culture, like the Europeans, used to believe, okay, you'll die in war, in battle, and we'll sing songs about you. Not going for that. The Japanese felt like to lose your head in battle, to like have your head chopped off or whatever, was an honorable death. Not going for that. If I'm Iranian or Iraqi, Afghanistan, whatever those Muslims that are active and believe in jihadists, what do they call it? Like the holy war and stuff like that or whatever type of situations, where you got this guy that's basically pimping you, telling you that you can, you're going to see heaven and all these virgins and all of that type of stuff. You just strap this C4 to your chest and go blow up this, these people and stuff. I'm not going for that, because why you can't do it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, why? What makes me so special? Why am I the chosen one? You know what I mean? Man, there ain't no honor in death.
I see, but see, that's the thing. Like, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with your feeling about it, because I feel the same way. It ain't no honor in death, but I also don't easily dismiss it, because some people, there is honor in death. Because if people that believe in the afterlife and believe that the afterlife is more important than the physical life, if you truly believe that, then there is honor in some death.
Hey, bro.
And so I'm just saying,
I understand. I understand that that's your belief. I'm not saying stop believing what you believe. I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense, because the person that's dead ain't coming back saying, thank you for building that statue for me. Thank you for singing these songs for me.
I agree with you. I'm just saying I'm not as dismissive of it for
you can't be
because
dismissive.
I understand like their logic behind it. I just don't. I wouldn't do that for myself though. I'm with you. I wouldn't do it for me though. I don't believe it for myself.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like a cultish way to think, right? I mean, and not just with let me lose my life for this cause. It's almost like even when people say, oh, I don't have to live a great life here because my reward is in heaven, right? So, I mean, it's just, it's based on beliefs, and especially if you were born into it. Now, I question sometimes, like, okay, well, you're 40 years old, now you've been converted to this belief. But if you've been kind of soldiered and groomed into this, I mean, it's easy to understand that. I had some beliefs growing up just based on religion that I believe, because that is what the elders told me and all that kind of stuff. So but when it comes to suicide and I do think it's totally different when you're doing like a suicide mission. But for
Right.
people that really feel, their lowest, and what really saddens me is just thinking, when I think about the moment before someone took their life, regardless of what their life was about, whether they had riches or nothing, what was their feeling like? Can you remember the lowest you've ever felt? Because I think we've all felt so low, whether we wanted to leave Earth or whether we just were low but suicide was an option. But just imagine that feeling, and I think of my lowest and how that person must have felt to say, this is it, this is what you do. And that's what saddens me, that was their last feeling before leaving. So I think we definitely want to make sure that we good thoughts to those that are coping with that level of depression at this moment because of the craziness going on in the world. Even with social injustices, it's a burden on a lot of people's shoulders. And a lot of people I've read on social media are like baffled. Oh my gosh, when did racists come out? I think a lot of people are living in this tunnel. I'm like, are you serious? Yeah. I have a family member that's like 60 something years old, and she's like, she made a comment that I'm so sad, I'm so depressed, I didn't know that. And I'm like, well, you lived during this era. I'm so confused. So what were and I know her parents taught her or dealt with things and were a part of civil rights movements. So I'm like, so you made a conscious decision, or maybe unconscious, to like blind yourself from all of this. So now this burden on you is like unbearable, of knowing that the people that you thought were your friends don't really care for you like you thought they did. So people are dealing with a lot of things, and I don't, want to make light of it.
That's interesting that what you just said, and I know this like kind of off topic. I just thought it was interesting. You was talking about a family member that you had at 60 years old, or about 60, and like was oblivious to everything that was going on. I heard an old person say that the reason why they felt like everything was fine, we were better off as black people, is because they were like 60 or 70 years old and they grew up in the 60s, and they see black millionaires, they see black people on TV, the things that they see like projected on TV and stuff like that made them think that, hey, we're moving in the right direction, and I wonder if that's a common thing or if it's just an isolated thing, to like a smaller percentage of older black people who really think that way, because they grew up seeing the more of the physicalness of it and the actual laws that were in place that didn't, support blacks being people. And now they see a different, it's more visual that you see black people coming up, even though that's not the actual case. You know what I'm saying? So I just wonder how common that thought is amongst older people.
I think it's very common because of the monolithic standard, where like at that point in time when they was coming up in the 60s, it was like it was physical, it was tangible rather, to see the racism. I mean, because you couldn't eat and go to certain places or whatever. So everybody prior to maybe the 60s and the 50s had one specific goal, or everybody in slavery had one specific goal, that was to be free. And then after slavery having to deal with the Jim Crow and all of that type of stuff, people had one specific goal, that was to be seen as equal. You know what I'm saying? We still fighting that fight even after Jim Crow and stuff like that. But I think because they gave us a bone, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, we've done so much for black people or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because you have Jay-Z and Beyonce and Kobe, R.I.P., and LeBron and stuff like that, but we're not all talented enough to play basketball or play football. So we don't have a monolithic problem or whatnot. You know what I mean? You can't just dismiss, all black people and say that, okay, LeBron is the black ambassador now. You know what I mean? And there is no black ambassador. There's several different people with that. Even though we don't like Terry Crews, he's a different type of dude. Him and Candace Owens belong over there, but that's their issue. We can't, you know what I'm saying? That's them. They just like they don't speak for us or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's different people, and like just like white folks, their problem's not monolithic. So that's the reason why we never talk about a white leader, because there is no white leader. You got several different factions of people who have different needs. And we're the same way. We got several different, the ultimate goal, of course, economically, we need to change. We need to be boosted or whatnot. You know what I mean? And we need to be seen as equal. But after that, people got different. You got business black people with business acumen that want to do this. Some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to be business owners or whatever, and have to deal with that. So you can't. We're not all the same people. So of course there's still people that think that way because they still thinking from the monolithic standard.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat generational as well. I saw, and I know we haven't. We're not talking about Ruth and her passing right now.
R.I.P. to Miss Ruth, man. I mean, you can talk about it.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who just passed, but getting into the passing of her, I read something from Marianne Williamson yesterday, which she posted to honor her. And I don't know if you remember Marianne Williamson. She was one of the candidates, Democratic candidates for this election. And she's an author. She's actually has a famous quote that a lot of people attribute Nelson Mandela for saying it. I can't think of the quote right now, but it's one of those I made my kids remember, a mantra in life. But Marianne Williamson put up I thought it was a very thoughtful post, and it's too long to actually read. But one thing that I thought was very interesting that she stated was about how sad everyone is about Ruth's passing because of the work that she had done, and for all these years, especially for gender equality and things of that nature. And we should really mention some of those things that she fought for, especially women. But a lot of it was, and I'm paraphrasing what she said, so hopefully no one, says, hey, she didn't say that. But it's almost like, okay, we're selfish, and I understand that we did want her to stay past the election, and she wanted to as well. But it's like she did the work, and she talked about her own generation, saying how it's time for us to do the work ourselves, like our generation. And Marianne Williamson, I don't know her age, but I would think she's probably like my parents' age. I don't know what that is, what generation that's called. But
that the baby boomers?
I think so, maybe. But she said that they had a prolonged post-adolescence, and that they had failed to fully mature. And that made me kind of think, because I had to think about, okay, when our leaders, and I'm just going to come from a civil rights standpoint, you had your Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, okay? So the generation they were in. Then you had your generation where we called the hippies, and they were born. Then you have your, I don't know, maybe it was Gen Y, your millennials, Xennials, or whatever. And now we have Generation Z. And I'm not saying that my parents' generation did not do anything for the cause. I'm not saying, because my mom was born around the time that segregation was ended and things like that. But when I think about the major impact and where people were willing to die for the cause, or the civil rights or whatever, and then across the line in all the generations. And I think that's one reason I'm so excited about Gen Z. I don't want them to, my kids are Gen Z. I don't want anything to happen to them, but I love the fire, zest, and the fearlessness that they have. But when I thought about it, and I want to be careful because I don't want my mom or anybody else listening to this to say I'm saying they did nothing. But it was, if you think about it and you actually compare to history, it was like a post-adolescence type deal. I don't know if it's because their parents went through so much and they said, hey, just be free, or now you can get education. It is a little weird. So we have these people that fought for these gender and civil rights and all of that. And then we just had this lull where people talked about it. We marched for it. We threw marches together like a new recipe, but it wasn't anything really super impactful, unless I'm just having a brain fart.
I think they thought the work was done.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Nobody picked up the mantle. Nobody kept the work going. When the civil rights the civil rights law was passed, and things visually started to seem to get better. Visually, it seemed like it was getting better, and nobody passed on the mantle to keep the work going. Then you had Martin Luther King actually die. You had Malcolm X. They both were assassinated. So so what you're saying is true, Ebony, and that doesn't mean that there wasn't small pockets of people who were still fighting the fight, but that went from the whole country being under a microscope and people across the nation fighting the fight to maybe smaller pockets. It just kind of like died off. And so you're right, and that's very interesting, because I've had this conversation before, but it's a conversation that I don't think a lot of people are having, as far as like just the reality of how did we go from being where we were with the civil rights movement to completely nothing. Because that's really what happened. Like went from the civil rights movement to completely nothing as a movement to try to continue to make things better for minorities, African Americans. Go ahead, Damon.
Not to cut you off, bro, but I think it's because of the trickiness of the laws and stuff like that or whatever. Like they allowed us to start dining and eating with white folks. They allowed us to start riding in the front of the bus and all of this type of stuff or whatever. So we were still filling their pockets or whatever. We weren't owning any bus stations and things of that nature. I know a few black people that did actually own buses and stuff like that. A lot of these businesses got sabotaged. But all of this stuff seemed individualistic, so we don't like isolated events. So as globally, we wasn't seeing it. Like Marcus Garvey had a ship line. They sabotaged his ship line or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Then they gave us affirmative action. So we was raising the roof on that thing. Okay, yeah, we're going to be able to get jobs now. We still weren't owners. And affirmative action was for minorities. It didn't necessarily just 100% unequivocally affect black men and women. You know what I'm saying? It affected women and gay people and all of that stuff too or whatever. So to get that, we thought that we championed something, we won something, but we didn't. And then that still didn't take away from the fact that our white counterparts was making could have been making 100,000. Yeah, exactly, making 100 a year when you making only 50 or something like that or whatever. So every step of the way, so they took away Jim Crow. We was able to vote and things of that nature. Then what did they do? They say prisoners, people, if you got a felony, you can't vote. You know what I'm saying? So they found several different ways to suppress voters and stuff like that. So it's like every time they took away too, but in a sneaky way.
Right. So the racism and all of those things became more covert. The overt racism went away. Oh, yes, you can eat here now. You can vote. You can go here and there, and we'll give you a job even. But then it became more covert. And then you start seeing these microaggressions, which I don't experience that in at work or anything. But when I'm around certain people, they say things or they do things. Like I'm in a Starbucks and this white man is like, "Oh my God, your hair." And I'm thinking to myself, and good damn well. Yeah, they say, "Oh, can I touch it?" Hell no. And if you do, you're going to get hurt, right? It's very covert, very microaggression-y. And so, I mean, I know that other black women deal with this, especially in the corporate world, but that overt racism went away. And so our parents and their parents think that we've won something. It's better, which, I mean, if you're looking at just overt racism and just in your face, you can't come here, don't drink this because you're black. It did go away. So that is a win. But, now there's some other things happening. Yeah.
I refuse the right to give you service.
I like that better.
Well, yeah, because everybody knows you'd rather, the devil than the devil you don't know is always better. And that's what 2020 is. I feel like 2020 is giving us that back, where people are comfortable being who they are.
I like the overt racism better if you have things in place for everybody to be equal, but I don't like the overt racism better if there's covert racism too. Like when it was in the 60s.
You're right. You're absolutely right about that. The problem is,
go ahead.
They said, you can't, it's whites on these pies, or you got to go through the back door. So some black people was like, you know what? I'll go open up my own bakery or whatever. But then they couldn't get a loan from the bank or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you're talking about, Capel. And I understand that too.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I want to know if my doctor is a racist. So he or she may be covert, but at least I have the tools now to go to their Facebook and Google and see okay, all right, you're not gonna be in my operating room.
Speaking about, did y'all hear that ICE detainees have been getting hysterectomies, forcible hysterectomies?
Yes. My God,
that's unbelievable, man. These people are out of man. It's crazy, man.
And why isn't it being talked about more? And who was the whistleblower? I heard it was a black nurse, a black nurse. So no one's taking this story, and the 39 kids that were found. I mean, it's being swept under the rug.
What
Like
39? I didn't see that. What's
there
that?
were like 39 kids
Yeah.
that they've been missing for I don't know how long. Individually, probably different. I don't know if it was a sex trafficking ring. I have no idea, but they were found in Georgia.
Mexican kids?
I don't know there. I think it was all types of kids, but I
Yeah,
honestly
I think
cannot
so.
tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they were found in Georgia. It was 39 of them, and I saw a few things on social media about it. A quick blurb
Wasn't
on
covered.
the news really quick, but most news stations I never heard anything about.
And the information they provided wasn't thorough. So it was 39 kids that were found. What kids? When did they go missing? Where did they come
Right.
from? Like
Yeah.
all of that information was kind of swept under the rug. It was just, oh, some kids were found, and back to our local weather. Like, wait a minute, what? Go back to that. So yeah, you're right.
That's
Hey,
how
we
they
need
do
to
it.
have a whole show on things that were swept under the rug. I'm still trying to figure out what happened to the ship. It was like Chase, JP Morgan had a ship last year that was
$1 billion
found with a bunch
a
of
dope?
cocaine. Like,
Yeah.
I need to talk about that. Like, where is it?
Yeah,
We
why
need to-
why JP ain't get like whoever that is? Why he ain't get locked up? Why they ain't go to JP crib?
JP.
Hey JP, what's happening, bro? Why they ain't go to Mr. Chase house? You know what I'm saying? I remember back in the height of this. Now this is post 9/11 or whatever. Troops were still on the ground in Afghanistan or whatever, going hard in Afghanistan. Obama was the president. Granted, Obama did say that one thing he wanted to do was bring the troops home. Obama became the president. Britney Spears started shaving her head and putting tattoos on the back of her neck and all of this kind of stuff. And her and her baby daddy, K-Fed, was going through all kind of stuff. And Britney gained weight. And white people was going crazy, and the news was going crazy because that's all they was talking about. And I seen at the bottom of the ticker, $1 trillion worth of gold found in Afghanistan. That was it. Never heard from it again. A month later, Obama said, hey, we're going to bring the troops back home or whatever. And I'm like, whoa, that was pretty quick or whatever. You know what I'm saying? In reference to the $1 trillion worth of gold found, where's that at? $1 trillion is a lot of money. You know what I'm saying?
You don't just find $1 trillion.
Yeah, exactly. You was over there looking for $1 trillion in gold.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Y'all know none of that
Yikes.
is by accident. Y'all know how the media works. They feed us
Yeah, that's
what they
crazy.
want. I mean, even
That's
the social
absolutely
media
crazy.
sites in on it, Facebook. You know, like the information you're talking about with the kids being found. People are posting that stuff on Facebook, but it's not showing up on because the algorithm,
Right.
is designed to push certain things in a certain way. So, I mean, it's all connected.
Yeah. Before we move on, I really don't want to. I want to gloss over a little bit about the achievements of Ruth.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I may leave out a few. Some of them I knew, and some of them I didn't know. I thought she was just great. But
Yeah.
but for women, the right to sign a mortgage without a man. Could you imagine? Like, even not even being married, not even being able to get a mortgage because you're not affiliated or attached to a man.
That's crazy.
The right to have a bank account without a male cosigner, the right to have a job without being discriminated based on gender, and we still deal with that today. But
Yep.
of course, they're not going to tell us that. The right for women to be pregnant and have kids and work, and there's some pockets of that still goes on, especially if you're if you work for like I have a friend that works in Georgia at a school that's associated with, I guess, Catholicism.
Yeah.
She has to sign a contract that she won't get pregnant because she's not married.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Why? How come white women aren't fighting with us? You know what I'm saying? White women should be with us, fighting with us.
Well, it
Doesn't serve their purpose. It doesn't
right.
serve them
It
well.
doesn't. I mean, they don't like these things, but it's like, but they're gonna go with the white man. It's like, have you watched Handmaid's Tales on Hulu?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
I've seen a few
I mean,
episodes.
yeah. So I mean, it's kind of that thing. It's like, okay, look what they're doing to us. Look what these men are doing to us. But then you find out who was the brainchild behind it in the beginning, and it was a woman. And now she's having to suffer. But it made a lot of sense
Like
for her at first.
before you finish, like great grandma said, you cut off your nose to spite your face. Now
Yep.
go ahead.
Yep.
Yeah. No, but that's pretty much all I had to say in regards to some of the, contributions that she did as a civil rights and gender equality attorney and served on the Supreme Court. And she was the second woman to be on the Supreme Court, if I'm correct. So, and she's in one quote I saw the other day, someone asked her, how many women do you think should be on it? And, I don't know. Now, this is my ignorance. I don't know how many people are on there. But let's just say it's 14 people. She said, 12. She says 12, And then they said, well, why? Why wouldn't you want men? She said, well, nobody questioned when it was all men, so let it be all women.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
She spoke her mind. She definitely did.
So. They got idiots out there that actually believe that women can't lead or whatever because women have a cycle and stuff like that. That's like the dumbest stuff I ever heard in my life, man. That's crazy.
Because they have a cycle. Oh my goodness,
bro! It got women that think that way too. They've been indoctrinated to believe that.
I've heard
a lot of women.
Exactly.
Like that.
You should just say
not about the cycle being the reason, but that's funny because that's the reason. That's the reason that somebody thinks that. Wow.
You would be surprised all of the things that you hear about women. I remember one. I had a friend that had a baby, and a friend of mine had a baby, and I went to visit her many years ago in hospital. And I usually don't visit anybody after they have a baby. I just believe in keeping away, but other people don't. So it was a close friend, and I think her baby may have been couldn't use the bathroom or something. So she calls me and she says, well, you and such came up here. Were you on your cycle when you came? Because you helped the baby and my baby's now constipated. I was like, what? What?
I heard that.
But that is really like an old tale. That a lot of things that we are not supposed to do when we're on our cycle is impacting other people. So she thought her baby was constipated because she thought I may have been on my cycle when I came up there and touched
and held their baby.
Yeah.
The audacity to even ask you that, though. The audacity to ask you when you're on your cycle.
I mean, that goes in line with taping a quarter to their belly buttons and all this other stuff. And then the whole cycle thing is I mean, blaming it on that is ridiculous to me. And I've heard a lot of hoteps say stuff like that too. And I'm like, of all the ignorant things you could think of to say, this is it. Oh God,
where did you get that from?
Just blow the whole thing up and let's start over. Good Lord.
I had never heard that one, and I've heard some crazy things. So I was like, so you're telling me my body affected your body's intestine? I was so confused. And then when I told other people, they're like, you never heard that? Like, no, I've heard some crazy things. I never heard
it, and I thought it was stupid then, and I think it's stupid now.
Right.
It's always gonna be stupid. Like,
what about the sinking of the periods? Is that real? Because I mean, that seems to be kind of real.
Why we about to have a conversation about?
I don't even know what that means. Like what you're talking about. The sinking.
All right, so if you're around like a woman like for a long period of time, y'all
you sync up.
Sync.
You hear that a lot, but
synchronization.
Yeah, I think math.
I'm thinking like go ahead.
I think it's just all about math, right? Some people, and I know y'all don't have a whole show about cycles, but some people have cycles that last a certain amount of time, and then some another time. I said, eventually it's gonna overlap somewhere. I don't know if it has anything to do with us being around each other. It's just that your 5 days and my 8 days, whatever the case may be, and it's going to eventually sync because we're not the exact same.
But I heard a biology teacher explain it a different way. She did say that, that's why you have a dorm hallway full of girls, and all of a sudden they're all synced up at the same time because of pheromones and certain things like that. Biologically, your bodies they sync up. And so I don't know if it has to do with, the women in the camp way back when all being ready to, have babies around the same time so they can have that next generation. I don't know what it is, but my biology teacher in high school, I remember her specifically saying something like that. And so she was like, you young ladies, if you and your mom are not getting along, probably maybe this is, y'all are synced up at the same time. You're both hateful at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I believe in the pheromones. I do believe in pheromones and all of the energy that we give off and the scents. Yeah. I believe that. Now I'll have to do some research on the syncing.
Yes, do some research and come back because I ain't got time.
It don't sound like there's no science involved with that at all.
Have a daughter. Have a daughter, and then
no, I'm not saying it's not true. No, I'm not saying
they both gonna hate your ass at the same time. They'll be looking at you like it's your fault.
I'm not saying it's not true. I'm saying the biology teacher teaching y'all that ain't gonna be on the test.
I mean, no, but we were talking about like animals and having the same kind of cyclic behavior in animals and plants and how everything goes through a cycle, and she just happened to bring that up, and we were like, oh, and I was like, oh, no wonder my mom and I, hate each other 3 to 5 days out of the month, like really hate each other more than we hated each other at that point anyway. So yeah.
Damon,
so Gina,
anything else you want to know about Piers, Damon?
Well, yeah, I just Googled something, and
I don't have no taboo subjects.
So I have dogs. So mine says the bond between dogs and humans is so deep that dogs' hormones actually synchronize to match those of their owners and handlers. A new study finds. So who knows if it's true? It's a study, but it's a very interesting.
I think it's real because all the women synced up in this house.
Wait, you said you ain't got no taboo subjects?
I ain't got no taboo subjects. I talk about anything.
I was reading something, and then I watched this like little Breakfast Club snippet the other day, and Dr. Oz was on there, and they were talking about this man who went and got a prostate exam, like the oral kind, and he got this prostate exam.
The oral kind?
The not oral, but the kind where they actually go in. Anal, yes. Oral. I said oral.
I'm about to say, thank God they finally came with a new kind of prostate.
Oral, that could be a thing too. No, the anal, yes, that kind, like with the fingers. And the man had the exam, and he had like an orgasm, and he got pissed off at his doctor. And he was like mad that the doctor made him have an orgasm, and he went back and shot the doctor.
He shot the doctor?
Oh, he shot the doctor?
He shot the doctor.
I heard this story, but I didn't know that.
You made me have an orgasm, and I ain't gay, so he went back and shot the doctor. Which
wait. Was his mindset was that the doctor did something that he wasn't supposed to do? Because how common is it to have an orgasm if you get in the prostate exam?
It's very common.
They say it's very common.
According to Dr. Oz, it's very common.
The dude must have thought that he was like raped. Like the dude, the doctor did something to him. I'm saying the dude, bro. I didn't say that's what he did.
He did.
That's what the dude thought.
I know what happened.
No,
I can explain it.
Okay. Wait a minute. The look on Damien's face.
Bullshit. Exactly. I see it too.
All I know is that in that movie Road Trip, Stifler had something done to him, and he was milked, and all of a sudden he was like, "Oh,
he liked it." Yeah,
he liked it.
Yeah. So the problem with the prostate exam. So this is what happened. So the doctor had him bend over and stuff. He put I want to say silicone or whatever the lubrication is on his finger. Yeah. And he put one hand on his shoulder or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then he stuck his other finger, in his anal. That's how it normally goes. This guy had 2 hands on his shoulders. He had one hand on the other shoulder, one hand on the other shoulder.
Stop it, bro. Whatever. Stop it.
Y'all said it was going to be some
We should have just cut that
off. You
off.
can tell by the way he was looking. You can tell by
I can see his eyes through his shades on that one.
I can tell. Okay, now.
I'm telling you, that's probably how that dude thought. That dude probably was like, that's not supposed to happen. He did something he wasn't supposed to do. He probably felt like he raped him. I'm telling you, that's probably how that dude felt when he
with a finger though. Like he got raped with. When I
say raped, I don't mean forcibly. I mean like while he was doing the exam, he did something for his own personal pleasure that he wasn't supposed to do. I'm telling you, that's what that dude thought.
And that's why he shot the doctor.
So they don't tell. Okay, so I don't know if you all have had prostate exams, but do they not give like some type of agreement or discussion before to say, hey, this is what you could feel, this is what
this is what could happen
or whatever. Like, do y'all go in and not know? It's just happens, and it.
I've never had one. I need to have one because I'm at that age, but so I can't tell. Yeah,
I've actually had one before or whatever. I'm not comfortable having to have had one, but I had to have one.
Yeah.
Well, can you, since it's not taboo, can you go ahead and explain and tell us how that happened?
there
Go
was
ahead.
no. I had to get a woman or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. Like I'm real. I'm vocal. Like with anybody. Hey, you know, I got to get a woman doctor. You know what
But
I'm
did
saying?
she explain to you what you could feel?
Man, I'll be 100% honest. No, wasn't no explanation or none of that type of stuff. But I didn't have that happen to me.
You had to sign papers. Maybe it was in the paperwork, and you know, usually people just go in, they sign, and they were like, "Let's go ahead and whatever."
If it had happened with the woman, would you be mad? Would you want to shoot her though?
Hell yeah, I'd be mad. I wouldn't want to shoot her, but I would feel the same. I feel violated. That would be taboo. I wouldn't be talking about it right now.
I think most heterosexual men would feel a certain way about that happening. You know, they would feel a certain way about it. I mean, I feel like Damien. I feel like I would be upset too. I'd be like,
but it's natural. Like it's something that could happen because of where the prostate is located and the nerve endings that are there. Like
I feel like you got to be doing some extra rubbing to make that shit happen.
Somebody else said that,
but I think everybody's body is different. Some people may just be sensitive. I don't know. Maybe people have orgasms during the colonic. I don't know. OBGYN, I don't know. I have no idea.
It ain't supposed to be no in and out action. It's supposed to be you go in, you know what I'm saying? You feel what you feel for, and then, you know, you come on out of there or whatever. It shouldn't be no I'm peeking in and out.
Well, maybe that's not what it was.
I
don't know. It did. I mean, if it's common, that's crazy. But if it is what it is, it just seemed like you go in real quick, you come out like Damon say, and that's a wrap. Like stimulate something to the point where you come. That seemed like you was in there for a while. Like
no, it reminds me
of a pressure point. It's like a pressure point. Like if you do this or if you do this or what are you doing? I don't know. I have no idea.
With 2 fingers.
I don't know.
She keep using them 2 fingers.
Right. The anal oral.
I heard it was 2 fingers. I did. I mean, like I did some research when I was in nursing school. We had to learn about that stuff. Okay, this is what you do, Capel. Since you've never had one, you go in. And then you have yours, and then you report back because we're all going to be. We need to know. The listeners want to know. They want to know.
We already heard from Damien like what the experiences is. We don't need another experience.
Yeah, we do. We need a sample.
We need a second opinion.
Section.
Second opinion. Yes, please.
Okay.
Do that for us.
Definitely.
Okay.
It reminds me of like movies when somebody has sex for the first time. He just goes in and he's like, and he's like has an orgasm right then. Like, so maybe it's not no in and out. Maybe it was just there.
In and one and done.
So I don't know. This is a rated X show.
I definitely ain't going to shoot nobody over it. So that part was super extreme.
My fault. I opened up that door.
You did.
You said it wasn't taboo, so I thought I would test Joe.
I don't care. I don't have no taboo subject. It is what it is. We all human.
You show tiptoed around explaining that prostate exam, though.
I know. Like, did you wash before you went? Like, what? I want to know all about it. I want to know what happened.
I'm gonna wash before I go to the hospital anyway. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm gonna make sure I'm clean. I remember I had a what is it? Kidney stone. Man, that is the worst pain I ever felt in my life.
I remember you told me about that.
But I made sure I was clean, even though I thought I was gonna die. Like seriously, I told my old lady, well, you know, the insurance and all that stuff is
that painful day.
Hey, man, that shit was painful.
I hear that.
Wow. Yeah. On that note, what we looking at? What we looking like on time?
1 hour and 12 minutes.
Oh, okay. So
we over.
I guess we about to get out of here. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to my boy over there, Distorted Clarity. He's a music producer or whatnot, man. Y'all go check him out. He on Spotify, Apple. He on all the sites. He got a song with Lil Kiki for all my OG H-Town screwheads called Flashing Lights. And he got another one called Risk Game with Mickey Fax, Houston West, and I don't want to mispronounce his name, but I think it's Triune or something like that. But that song right there is pretty dope. You know, them boys spitting bars on there for all the bar heads. But Distorted Clarity Production or just distortedclarity.com. Go check them out. You know, we supporting our people. Go support them too.
All right, sounds good. So that's all we got for today. People. All right, don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, send to all your friends and family. Appreciate y'all for listening. Share, exactly. This Acoustic Chef, and we out.
Peace out.